Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to our regular meeting. And of course, we welcome our residents who's chiming in online. So I will now call the meeting to order. The agenda is there before you. Can I have a motion to approve, please? Moved by Councillor King, seconded by Councillor Crowley. All those in favour? Those against? Motion is carried. Minutes of the meeting from October the 18th. Are there any errors or omissions? No, we're all good. Okay, the table will adopt them as presented. Any business arising? Okay, if there's no business arising, we will move on to the mayor's update. A couple of items here. I wish to inform council, staff, and the residents of Holyrood that one of our volunteer firefighters has announced his retirement last week. Weldon Dunphy, who's well known in the community, has decided to hang up his firefighter helmet after serving an impressive 47 years with the department. Now, that's a classic example of true dedication, loyalty, and commitment to your community. As we're all aware, Weldon put his heart and soul into the fire service and was well respected by all members over the years. And I know he will be missed, but I'm sure he won't be a stranger. On behalf of council, staff, and all residents of Holyrood, I want to thank Weldon for his tireless and unwavering service, and be assured we certainly appreciate the contribution he has made to his community during those years. And we will be formally recognizing Weldon's retirement at the upcoming Firefighters Ball next month. So I think this deserves a round of applause for Firefighter Dunphy. All right, now on a not so positive note, I'm going to raise an issue this evening which I prefer not to, but feel it's a matter of public interest and needs to be addressed. One day last week, while walking my dog on a dirt road around a pond, I happened to notice a discarded chair in the woods. On my way back, I noticed our public works staff were emptying the town's garbage container, so I mentioned it to them, and they said that they would remove it. Lo and behold, a short time later, I received a text and a picture informing me what they also discovered hidden in the woods. Now just get this: 4 tires, 1 on a rim, 3 chairs, 4 battery-operated drills, a water cooler, a dehumidifier, a drill box, and a vehicle battery. In total, they collected a pickup load of discarded material. Now, what's most disturbing about this is what would happen if the vehicle battery eventually broke open, which contains lead acid and sulfuric acid, and were eventually to leach into the pond only a few feet away. And what would happen if some children playing in the area were to accidentally break it open, not realizing the dangers of what's inside, and got this acid on their skin or even in their eyes? Undoubtedly, this would result in very serious injuries. I'm not trying to be overdramatic here, but it's reality. I don't know where this material came from. It could be a non-resident. But one thing is for certain: this problem is not just isolated to our community. I've heard stories of other jurisdictions and towns that have pockets which have become dumping grounds. I will make it clear that 99.9% of our residents, whether in Holyrood or surrounding areas, fully respect the environment and are compliant with the regulations. However, it's only a handful of culprits that has no regard for the environment or communities for that matter. I don't know what the answer is on how we can reduce or eliminate this problem. Is the high price of fuel discouraging people from traveling upwards of 100 kilometers to and from Robin Hood Bay. So now they head to the back roads. It's a complicated situation with no easy answer. So I would suggest we engage in some discussion with the Eastern Regional Waste Management Board and to a broader level with municipalities Newfoundland and Labrador. But all I do know is that this kind of blatant behavior is disgraceful, it's unacceptable and shameful, and it has to stop. I will further discuss this issue at a future Infrastructure and Public Works Committee meeting. So that is the Mayor's update. Any questions, comments?
Comment that, like we offer a couple of times a year, that we offer a couple of times a year, the pickup.
Bulk cleanup.
Yeah, bulk cleanup. So it's not like the opportunities are not there for individuals who don't need to, don't have a truck, are not able to go to Robin Hood Bay. So, make people more aware of doing that. But, if you ride the track on any type of ATV, you will see that throughout the woods, unfortunately. Still.
And again, it's not just isolated to Holyrood. I'm sure it's prevalent right across the province. And, another thing too, which we will further discuss in greater detail, is surrounding the regulations. Because we've had situations in the past where we saw bills, receipts, everything else, but unfortunately, we don't have any teeth in the regulations, because if it goes to court, you actually have to prove it. And the only way to prove this is if you actually see it physically or, take a video of it. During the community cleanup, and I was up to the pond and there was a full garbage bag. So, as inquisitive as I was, I tore open the garbage bag and I saw receipts. I saw a letter. I knows the address. I knows the phone number. And I thought to myself, what will I do with this? But I knew that we don't have the evidence. It's all there, all right? But I knew there was nothing we can do. So this is the reason why I think we have to bring this forth to the municipalities, Newfoundland and Labrador, to see what we can do, if they can reach out to the Department of Justice or Environment, whatever, to see if towns, can have more teeth in enforcing these kind of things. Because enforceability is the challenge.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to... Sorry, Mayor, I think it goes back to something that Councillor King has been saying over and over again. If you see something, say something, do your recording. And, it might lead to some of the other municipalities have been talking about a neighborhood watch. And if, that's one of the things that they'd be watching out for. Mm-hmm. Right? So.
But I wasn't expecting that, like I say, when I was walking along the dirt road there, and the pond lake was only about 10 feet away, and I saw a chair upside down. Thought that's all was there until our public works staff went in, and that's what they actually dug out of there. And I have a picture. I have a picture on my iPhone of the pickup. It's fully loaded with discarded material. So I think that this is something that has to stay on our radar. We will discuss this further at an Infrastructure and Public Works meeting and, see if we can find a path forward in trying to, we're not going to eliminate it, but try to reduce it. And maybe there's ways and means that we can help out in terms of, I've had seniors or people with disabilities that would call me and say, I just bought a new refrigerator. What can I do with the old one? I don't have a pickup. And I'll phone the Director of Public Works, and then he'll send the foreman down, a couple of guys, and they'll take it away. And the same way in this case with a vehicle battery, which is very concerning because, especially with children, it's a matter of safety. So, if they happen to break that open and get this acid all over their hands or in their eyes. I mean, that's a very serious situation. Or if this breaks open and leaches into the pan, like I said earlier. So anyway, we'll keep it on our radar, and we'll certainly have a meeting and discuss this further with Public Works. All right. Now, correspondence, Madam Clerk, no correspondence. So now we will move on to Planning and Development. We have Deputy Mayor Woodford and Councillor Windsor.
Good evening, everybody. The, sorry, my notes. The Planning and Development Committee, we met on November the 9th with our CAO Gary Corbett, Steve Windsor, Krista Turnbull, and myself in attendance. There were 5 applications that we reviewed. Two of those, I believe, are going to motion tonight, what we reviewed. We also discussed the recent quarry application approval that was given at the last public meeting, and how our CAO updated us on how the legal team are working to develop a draft quarry agreement, which is going to list all of those conditions that we were all, wanted to make sure that was in there. And we're hoping to have that around December the 1st in a draft form for everyone to review. We also discussed gravel road standards, because we do have a couple of applications there that need to have those developed before they can move forward. So I think that's going to motion tonight for the gravel road standard. We also discussed bringing in the directors of the Infrastructure and Public Works Committee and Business Development and Marketing, because when we're actioning an application, sometimes it kind of filters over to those departments, and we have to kind of hold it and then go out to that director for some information or for some guidance. So at certain times we talked about bringing them in to the committee based on what the agenda items are, to make everything more efficient and make that application move forward. And finally, the town plan, the review for that is scheduled for December the 11th, Sunday, December the 11th from 10 to 2 is when we're hoping to be able to get together and discuss that further. And we do have a couple of motions. Is there anything, though, from my co-chair, Steve Windsor, if you want to, if I've missed anything?
No, you nailed it perfectly, Madam Deputy Mayor. Nothing further here.
Okay, thank you. So for the permits, be it resolved to table and approved. Everyone has, I don't know if you have the attached permit listing. There's 5 permits were issued from October the 15th to November the 10th. Permit number 09014122 to 11015022, which includes permits for new residents, accessory building, patio extension, general repairs, and occupancy. So moved.
Okay, moved by Deputy Mayor Woodford, seconded by Councillor Windsor. Further discussion? If not, all those in favor, those against, motion is carried.
The second motion is for Lot 2 O'Rourke's Road, which is adjacent to 6769 O'Rourke's. It's a residential build in an RMD zone. It's just a regular, everything was fine with that application for the house. Be it resolved to approve the above application in principle, subject to the Town of Holyrood development regulations. So moved.
Okay, moved by the Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Windsor. Further discussion? If not, those in favor, those against, motion is carried.
And finally, the last is from the Town of Portugal Cove St. Phillips. It's a proposed amendment for the regional plan for Beachy Cove Road, rural to residential. Be it resolved that the Town of Holyrood has no comments on the proposed amendment from the Town of Portugal Cove St. Phillips. So moved.
Moved by the Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Crowley. Further discussion? And I've said this time and time and time again for the last several years. I, as well as this council, are not in any position to tell Portugal Cove St. Philip's or
Or
any other municipality
Yeah.
what they
to do.
should or should not do in their town. And I find this, and I'll repeat it again, nonsensical. And a step in the process, I think that's just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I certainly, and we certainly, wouldn't appreciate anybody, another municipality, objecting to something that we want to do. So I don't know why this comes over our bow, but it is what it is, so. That's all I had to say, till we get the next one. Okay, it is moved and seconded. All those in favor, contrary motion is carried.
I believe that's it for me, Mayor Gooby. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Deputy Mayor, Councillor Windsor. Now we'll move on to recreation and community events. We have Councillor Buckle on the line and Councillor Sadie King.
Good evening, everyone. This is Councillor Buckle. I'll start it off here, and then my coach here, Councillor King, will step in and finish it off. Just a couple of updates I'd like to bring forward. One, I'd like to say a big thank you to all of our business and community organizations that helped us with the Spook Chunkler. The Spook Chunkler raised over $2,400 and 34 bags of non-perishable food items. So that's going to be donated to organizations within our community for the food bank and food sharing. So I mean that's a great to be able to do $2,400 donation plus the amount of non-perishable food that we collected, and you know I mean this wouldn't be able to take place without our business community coming on side. So I'd like to say a big thank you to our business community and the organizers in this event. With that being said, we're getting into the Christmas season, and just a couple of points here I'd like to make. This one out in our newsletter, or our Christmas flyer, I should say. And the Toy Mountain is will be starting on November the 28th until December the 6th. And that's a big hit over the last few years. We do really well, and you know what I mean, there's lots of donations come in, and gift cards that we get out in the community, and the communities from Holyrood over to Colliers, we share those, and everyone come on side. And it's been a great hit over the last few years. You know what I mean, there is people less fortunate, and you know what I mean, we try to make Christmas a special memory for everyone. So that's a great one that we have here in Holyrood, and it's been great for numerous years, and we hope that it stays that way this year. And with that being said, then we move on to our Holyrood Santa Claus Parade, and it's going to be this year on Saturday, December the 3rd at 2 p.m., and that's on the same day as the CBS one, so it's following CBS, and we had great dialogue with them, and we used them last year. Last year we done it after theirs, and we got some floats that come up from CBS to Holyrood, so you know, I mean, it makes our parade a little bit more interesting and more floats. So we're looking for that. Hopefully we'll have a good weather, and we'll be able to have the Santa Claus Parade on December the 3rd. Also, another big one that we got coming up is the park lighting, and the park lighting, as everyone knows, is a big event and a good turnout, and we hope for good weather on that, and that's going to be on December the 6th at 6:30 p.m. So we're hoping for good weather there too, and during the park light up, as every other year, there will be hot chocolate service provided throughout the Christmas season for people to drop by, and that also went out in our Christmas flyer. And there's going to be the Breakfast with Santa. It's going to be at the Legion, the Royal Canadian Legion, on December the 3rd from 8:30 a.m. to 11. And also there's going to be a craft fair on the go while the breakfast is on the go. So that's another good event for people to get out. And we also are putting out our dates for our Crystal Carnival. Our Crystal Carnival this year will run from February the 17th to the 26th. So that's another one that we're trying to get out, you know what I mean? We haven't had it during the COVID, so we're looking forward to getting back to a full-fledged Crystal Carnival this year. And that's just, I mean, there's lots of events there. There's more events that Councillor King will probably touch base on. But, you know what I mean, it's great to be able to put out these events and get people back out, especially after the pandemic, and people are looking forward to it. You know what I mean, a lot of these events are family-orientated, so we like to see as many people out as possible, and the only thing we can hope for is the weather will be on our side. And that's it for me. Now I will hand it over to my coach here, Councillor King. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Buckle.
Well, I'm going to just outline a few of the other events that we're going to have because the flyer came out yesterday. I'm just going to mention them, but there's a couple I'd just like to really mention in depth. We have ornament making with Clay Cafe. That's going to be at the Royal Canadian Legion on December the 1st. But one in particular is Cram the Cruiser. Now that's at the Star of the Sea parking lot on Sunday, December the 11th from 10 o'clock to 3. And I think this is one we need to try and get as many people involved as possible. There's a lot of people out there this Christmas who are really hurting. And when I say that, I really know because I've had calls from some seniors. And there's children who are not going to have a very good Christmas this year. So we should try to do everything in our power to cram that cruiser that day.
Here, here.
Give as much as we can. And that also works with regard to Time Mountain and the children. Try to be as generous, people try to be as generous as possible. And any other place where you put a few groceries or something, it'll certainly come in helpful. We also have a wreath making night. And we have a seniors party at the Legion. A lot of people looking forward to that. We're going to hunt for Santa. And after Christmas, when it's all said and done, we're going to recycle the trees. Now, yesterday I was coming in from town. I noticed Christmas trees threw down in the median somewhere out on the outer ring road. You know, that's not the place to put them when you're finished with them. And they're not even started, so they're just getting them and throwing away what don't suit. So we will have a place to recycle them as is listed in our bulletin. I also want, on behalf of the seniors, to thank the town and Steve for 2 great events we had during Fall Fest. One was the seniors party, and that was well attended, and they were really glad to get out and intermingle with their colleagues again, you know, the people they had lost touch with over these past couple of years. They were really pleased with that. And then we had a workshop where we had the RCMP do an hour on scams, and we had Kevin O'Shea from the law place talked about wills and probates, and it really opened people's eyes, you know, so very informative.
Yeah.
A lot of things people don't understand about wills. So I think that deserves a big thank you, Steve. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor King, and I just want to say and thank and congratulate the Recreation Committee and our Director of Recreation and the volunteers, but of course with the support of Council. Certainly a great lineup of events and activities this Christmas, and in the past they're all well attended, family oriented. There's something there for everybody. So as Councillor Buckle just said, fingers and toes crossed, everybody, that we got the weather on our side. The last tree lighting we had at the park, it was absolutely blocked, and it was a beautiful night. And I tell you, people came from everywhere, and they really look forward to it. So it's really a night to enjoy, and it's a great way to start Christmas in Holyrood. So I got my fingers and toes crossed, and I'm going to have cramps until the night. But the weather's been good so far, knock on wood, so let's keep it going. Okay, any other questions or comments? All right, if not, thank you, Councillor King and Councillor Buckle. So now we will move on to Infrastructure and Public Works. We have Councillor Windsor and Councillor Sadie King.
Okay, that's super. You guys got me in a Christmas spirit now, and I'll go buy some lights. Right? No, I'm really excited about the events and all the events the town manages. Very, very well done. Looking forward to it all. Infrastructure Public Works, I'll deliver the update from our last committee meeting, and there is one motion. Deputy Mayor mentioned that at the outset of the meeting on the gravel road standard. My colleague, Councillor Sadie King, will deliver that. So the update, we met on Thursday, November 10th, right the day before Remembrance Day holiday. And on that too, I should go off topic a little bit, but I think it's worth mentioning. We met the day before Remembrance Day. I thought the event at the town was fantastic. We had great weather. Acknowledge the search and rescue for barring off the traffic in a safe manner. Our fire department looks so sharp. Our councillor and colleague, Councillor Bruce King, thank him for his service as well, and everybody, certainly, right? And it was a wonderful event, very well attended. So back to Public Works. Sorry about that, but it was worth remembering. The gravel road standards we discussed at length. There are other applications, whether that's private or business, need to consider that. And as the mayor and I have discussed, it needs to be done correctly, right? And there are several areas where there are real concerns about the drainage and the elevation, the ditching, the culverts. It all has to be done correctly. And in instances where an applicant is about to take on those costs, they need to well understand what they are, because they can be extensive. But in order for them to do an estimate and understand what that means, they need to adhere to a standard of what is that standard, right? So our director has developed that, and Councillor King will be making a motion to adopt it, okay? We talked in general about policies and standard operating procedures, or SOPs, and where the director should have some discretion on what is a policy, what is an SOP, and it was agreed that we want to provide the director some flexibility, but at the same time things need to be vetted by the committee, right? So we agreed on that. Just sort of just a general update. I think that's important. Some details now. I mean, we talked about in great lengths the retaining wall, and retaining walls generally, but specifically the retaining wall on marine shores, right, which is of great safety concern to all of us. There's a safety issue. There are standards we need to think about. There's engineering requirements. There's constructability and rehabilitation. I mean, we can't just go down there right now, roll up our sleeves, and grab an excavator, and we could make a problem worse. Right, but something needs to be done. We just need to make sure that it's done in the right way, and we also need to engage with our legal counsel on what we should or should not do, because I mean, there's privately held land done by a developer, right? So it was a very lengthy and emotional discussion actually on Thursday, and we're going to meet again this week actually to touch on a couple of our more high profile and important issues or files, right? So stay tuned with that. With the planning and development too, I think, and Deputy Mayor mentioned this, right? There's an interface between both committees, and sometimes that communication is not always happening, so we want to work together a little bit closely. I mean, we all come here together, committee of the whole, or the public council meeting, but sometimes there's important files on these committees that bridge across, right? I think it's important to touch on. And safety even is one of them, right? So I think we all need to do a little bit better there, or be cognizant of when to say, you know what, like we should probably reach out to that committee on that topic.
Sure, yeah.
Right? So that was a good discussion there. Crosswalks, we talked about an example, right? Interfacing with the safety. There were some residents that came forward, suggesting or recommending or requesting crosswalks. In some instances, those are very valid, and in some they may not be. There's an application process, particularly on Route 60, right? Like Route 60 is provincial road, and there's an application process whereby the town, if the town is in agreement and supportive of the request, that we go forward with an application to the province. They have their criteria, they assess and approve or deny. There are some valid areas, sight lines, blind turns, things of that nature, traffic, common places where people cross to go to a daycare, go to a walking trail, things like that, right? So we can't have crosswalks all throughout, but there are a couple that are very valid, and we're supporting the director in making an application to the province there. Similar subject, public works, but touching on safety. Requests about hidden driveway signage. We drive around the municipality, there's tons of hidden driveways. I mean, we could have signs everywhere for that, but there are a few areas in particular where very valid. And what we discussed was maybe in a broader sort of sense, in those sections of road, we could have consider a sign, that's not mentioning the mayor's driveways, but a driveway specifically. But maybe there's be mindful this section, many hidden driveways ahead, or blind hill, blind turn. So there's a few things we got to work out there and how we approach that. Because if there's signs everywhere, then it just loses the effect.
Yes.
That's right.
Right? So we got to do that right. Kennedy's Lane, the undeveloped section. Now, I live on Kennedy's Lane, but this doesn't benefit me. Just want to tell you guys that. The undeveloped section, though, just to update the work that has been completed. It's a very problematic area. We've had a number of weather events, and some residents have been impacted by that. And we want to future-proof the area, accommodate for the climate change, and so on. There has been ditching completed, rock lining completed, French drains completed, and we discussed with the director there's some monitoring required. Right, so the next weather events, having a person go, how is it working? Is it helping or not? Do we need to do more? So I just want to let everybody know that it's been discussed a lot at council, and there's been a lot of concerns in the area. So you know, there has been some good work done. I don't know if it's all done yet. I mean, like we said, we got to monitor it. And like for example, the first culvert coming down out of this area, does that need to be increased in size or not? We're going to defer that decision until we get a little bit more evidence on replacing that section of culvert. There's another cost that we'd have to think about in our budgetary process. But you know, they're making some good progress, and we'll keep an eye on it. Tubbers Road, we're planning for water line excavation this week, and all residents living in that area that could be affected have been called and notified. So they're aware of the project, and it's all weather dependent, of course. Now we had a bad day yesterday, but a good day today. But that'll be ongoing. The PRV at the corner of Route 60 and Northside Road. The chamber, as you know, you can see that is completed, but we've been waiting on the valve, right? The valve is late. It is expected the end of this month, end of November. It's what the supplier is telling us it'll be delivered, and then installation, right? So this is, again, there's some of these supply chain issues that we hear about everywhere, right? Wastewater treatment plant is the last item, or one of the more important ones, and that's what we're going to meet again about later this week. Positive news, 2 aerator pumps have been installed, and that'll help bring that plant back up to operational capacity as it should be. And that was the subject of past motions and improvement opportunities by this council, which is great. However, we do have some sediment that has built up there, and on an urgent basis, we are looking to have that removed so we can have that plant as you know, optimized as possible. And we discussed having a preventative maintenance routine where that is done on a periodic basis, so we don't let, you know, a problem accumulate and get worse. So that is a top priority for this committee. And between that one and the retaining wall, those are our top issues right now that we'll be discussing again this Thursday lunchtime. And that's the update. I don't know if you had any questions, but if not, I'm going to hand it over to Councillor King for the gravel road motion. Policy, standard. Thank you.
The motion reads, be it resolved, the Town of Holyrood approve and adopt the gravel road standards as presented in the document Gravel Road Standards prepared for the Town of Holyrood, November 2022. The Holyrood Gravel Road Standard document has been prepared to manage growth within the municipality with present and future transportation needs, local economic considerations, and other relevant factors considered. So moved.
Okay, moved by Councillor King, seconded by Deputy Mayor Woodford. Further discussion? And I think Councillor Windsor articulated that very clear, so I'm good with that. All right, if there's no further discussion, all those in favour, please raise your hands. Those against, Councillor Bocco?
I support.
Okay, motion is carried. All right, that's it for infrastructure and public works?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much, folks. So now we will move on to business development and marketing. Deputy Mayor Woodford.
Well, our committee met on November the 7th with our Director Marjorie Gibbons, our Mayor Gooby, and myself in attendance. Several files and agenda items were discussed at that meeting. They remain ongoing, so we don't have a lot to present to the public tonight. However, I do want to provide an update on the business before breakfast event that we held on November the 2nd at Star of the Sea. We had over 60 members of our business community registered for the event. The Honourable Andrew Parsons attended and spoke to the group. Our mayor brought greetings from the town as well. We were entertained by Amy House, who had us all in tears laughing,
Yeah.
for sure. And we had representatives from ACOA, CBDC Cabot, and the Chamber, the Conception Bay Chamber of Commerce. Feedback was fantastic. Everybody loved the event, from the business community to those representatives from, from Cabot down at CBS. She said to me, we have this in CBS and we don't get this number of people. So it's great to have the turnout that we had. Other than that, it's, I guess, to talk a little bit about the Marine Institute, because we can see the building is coming to completion. And we're hoping, I think Marjorie provided me a little bit of an update that she was talking with representatives this morning, and they're hoping to have their official opening in the spring of 2023. So it's delayed a little. But we're hoping to do a tour, all of council, before that grand opening, and I'm thinking it's going to be before year end as well. So we look forward to touring the facility. We are excited. Our business development and marketing, OHI, our council want to be involved with Marine Institute. Building our relationship with them to promote and advance the ocean industry here in Holyrood and in the province. We do believe there's going to be a lot of economic opportunities that will become available as this gets up and running. So we're hoping to promote development in the town by bringing, the needs that Marine Institute, the wants and the needs for them to operate, and potential investors to be able to bring that to Holyrood so we can increase the economic spin-off from it for the towns, for the town of Holyrood. So we're really excited about working with them. I know our director and our CAO have been working with them over the past several months, and we did meet as a committee with them probably several months ago as well. Mm-hmm. Very positive outlook. They're very interested in collaborating and partnering with the town to make sure all their needs are met and obtained within the town if we can do so. Other than that, I don't know, is there anything that you want to add?
No, I think you covered it all.
We have one motion tonight, and that is, be it resolved, the Town of Holyrood accept funding through the Active Transportation Fund in the amount of $68,400 to complete the trail project at the Salmonair Line Park as described in the initial proposal. This funding is administered through the Minister of Intergovernmental Affairs, Infrastructure and Communities. The Town of Holyrood, by accepting this funding, gives authority to the Mayor and CAO to sign the contract to enter into the funding agreement. Once the agreement is signed, we will move to the implementation phase to complete the loop trail at the multi-court site on the Salmonair Line Park. So moved.
Okay, moved by the Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Crawley. Further discussion?
Mr. Mayor, Councillor Buckle, if I may make a comment.
Go ahead, sir.
To see this motion before us tonight, it's a great motion. We're trying to move recreation and in the Salmon Lawn area. We had a plan up there, and as one of the members of the Recreation Committee, we're always trying to move different projects and get stuff moving for our recreation for the benefit of our residents. But to see this funding application here tonight for $68,400 to get this trail project at Salmon Lawn Park, it's a great motion. I have to say, we have to say a big thank you. Our Director of Business Development Marketing, Marjorie Gibbons, who applies for all these funding proposals for us and helps us get these projects moving. There's, for $68,400, that's a funding grant there. That's no cost to us. But for Marjorie applying for all these projects, and even, the town sometimes on some projects has to pay a certain portion. But with Marjorie applying for these grants, this is how we're getting a lot of infrastructure and a lot of work done in our town. I would like to say a big thank you to Marjorie and the Business Development Marketing members. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, sir, and I'm sure that we all agree with that statement. Marjorie's done a phenomenal job in securing this funding for that and numerous others. So,
Yeah, it's wonderful. If I could, Mayor, just to back that commentary up by my colleague, Councillor Buckle, I think that is worth mentioning as well. The work being done for the Trailway Master Plan, you know, there's a lot of other trails that the town is looking forward to developing and enhancing further, in addition to this one.
Yes.
and there's no doubt that this facility will be well utilized by everybody, the whole family. So, another great investment to the town. All right, so any other questions or comments? The motion has been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Contrary minded, motion is carried. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. So now we will move on to public safety. We have Councillor Bruce King and Councillor Buckle.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, fellow councillors, staff, and of course, the hundreds of people that are listening at home. And once I'm finished, I will turn it over to Councillor Curtis so he can make his final comments. We haven't had a public safety meeting since our last public meeting, but I do have some points. And once I go through my list of points, then I will turn it over to Councillor Buckle and he can fill in the blanks. There's been a lot of chit-chat on social media with regards to break-ins and stuff like that. And, you know, things are on the rise. Christmas is coming. We know, with regards to what Councillor King has already said, you know, a lot of people are hurting out there. So people sometimes do desperate things to, you know, if they can get something that they're going to get money for, whether it be, you know, power tools or whatever, if the opportunity is there, people are going to take advantage of it. So, you know, and I know Councillor Crowley mentioned something just before the meeting started that we had brought up months ago in a public safety meeting, and we put it out to the public, and that was the neighborhood watch system. And we put it out to people, and there was zero response. So maybe this is a time to put it back out there again. You know, if you know, Marina Shores or Salmon Airline or any places where a lot of these criminal activities, I guess you can call it, are happening, all they have to do is touch base with us, and we will be more than happy, at least I will be more than happy, to make arrangements with the RCMP to come in, sit down, go through the process of how a neighborhood watch can be set up, and the benefits of having a neighborhood watch. And there's quite a few benefits. One, it's a deterrent of people coming into your neighborhood, especially when you know there's a whole slew of eyes that are watching you. And it does deter people from criminal activity. The other thing that's it's spiking now, and it's spiking not only in Holyrood, but spiking everywhere, and that's the stealing of fuel, right? I mean, you almost got to get somebody to co-sign to sell your house to get a tank of diesel, right? But they're not just ciphering the gas anymore. They're drilling a hole in the bottom of your gas tank and getting them. So not only when you come out in the morning and turn the ignition on and it says the gas light's on, you got to go and you got to buy a new gas tank. And people are doing that now because it's probably safer. Attracts less attention than somebody down there with a hose sticking down your gas tank, sucking on it. You just crawl underneath your truck or your car, drill, hole, gas, gone. Nobody even sees you. So and now you're stuck with a bill to go and get a brand new gas tank. And that's what they're doing now. So people need to be aware of that, and people need to take precautions and stuff like that. And you know, a lot of times, you know, you can do whatever you want, but you're not going to stop everything, but you can deter some people. Right? And, the other points came from the municipalities conference out in Gander from the 2nd to the 5th of November. They had two excellent speakers there. The mayor of Port-aux-Basque gave an excellent presentation with regards to how his community coped with the hurricane, and then the mayor of Grand Falls, Windsor, he got up and he did his presentation on how his community coped with the forest fire. And both of them were excellent presentations. I tell you, if you get an opportunity before I continue to go to these municipality Newfoundland conferences, they're a wealth of information. They had absolutely fantastic speakers. And you get to meet a lot of different people. and you can listen to some people, and you can look and you think to yourself, you know, the town of Holyrood ain't all that bad off. When you see people up there, a gentleman got up there, I won't name the community, but his salary was a $50 gas card, right? That's his salary. That's what he got for being the mayor of this particular community, a $50 gas card. And you can't get much gas now for $50, right? You might be able to get your lawnmower filled up.
Get you home.
Right? You know, it might get you home. But anyway, to give a briefing, but I'm not going to get into everything because I know we have a plan to, because I took about 8 pages of notes. It's all valuable information and everybody should be aware of it, right? But I'm just going to go through a few points and then that'll be enough. For Portabass, for example, there was 85 houses were destroyed or had to be demolished. Wow. So that's a lot of homes, right? There was 95 families that were displaced, that still don't have a place to live. There was 55 homes that are probably being inspected now for structural damage, and there's a very good possibility that those homes may also have to be demolished. The 2 hardest hit groups of people out on the southwest coast were seniors and low-income families. Those were the 2 groups of people that were the hardest hit from Hurricane Fiona. The sewer system out there is in, according to Mayor Button, it's in awful condition, to the point now where even when they get, 5 to 10 millimeters of rain, people are calling because their sewer backed up, right? And this weekend past, they just got 84 millimeters of rain, so you can imagine the mess of, and like he was saying, by the time they get something fixed, they get another storm, and they're right back to square one again, right? So they're hurting out there when it comes to these types of things. One of the other things that was very important is your insurance policy. And people should take the time to look at your insurance policy and see exactly what you're covered. Because he said, and he's absolutely right, it's too late to go to the insurance company after the event, because they just look at it. And I'll just give you an example of one of the things, and this was actually, for example, my house and Marie's house, okay? And we're out in Portabass. The waves come in and they flatten my house. Parts of my house slammed into Marie's house. Right? The insurance company tells me, you're not covered. The insurance company tells Marie, she can get all of her stuff fixed. Right? It's absolutely amazing. Like the mayor said, well, the one that caused my house to be destroyed and hit your house was the same thing.
And they're covered for wind, which caused the surge, right?
Some
But
are,
then they're
because you
having
have,
problems.
I guess the biggest takeaway from all of this stuff is you need to go and read your policy, and if you're not sure, you need to pick up the phone, call your insurance company and say, in the event, am I covered? Am I covered for this? Am I covered for that? And if not, then you're going to have to make a decision whether you want to pay more or leave it as it is and hope nothing happens. Right? So it was absolutely amazing, some of the stuff that people had to deal with, where one person was covered and the other person, no, you're on your own. Right?
If I could interject, Councillor King, maybe that's something that Councillor Sadie King and the seniors group could look at, to bring in somebody from the insurance industry and talk a little bit more in depth about this. Because, you sign up with your insurance, but the fine print is there, and until, like you say, something happens,
you need binoculars to read
then
it. Right? So.
it's too late.
Yep. But it is, and he said it reaps benefit. You can't believe, because at least then you know. Because there's nothing worse than having a complete demolishment of your home or your vehicle or whatever, only to go to the insurance company to add insult to injury and say, well, listen, you're on your own, right? We're not covering. And you got to read that little paragraph down there in the bottom that you got to have 2 sets of binoculars to see. That's the stuff that you tell, right? And it comes back to haunt people, and it's unfortunate. The other thing that came up, emergency preparedness. And he kept saying this, you've got to be prepared, you've got to beat the dust out of your plan and make sure it's up to date, make sure it's good to go. And I know we're going to be doing that, and going right along with that as well is tabletop exercises, what ifs, what ifs, what ifs. And he said the more what ifs you can go through, the more what ifs you can deal with down the road, because that's the problem. The what ifs are the ones that's what takes a toll on everybody. Communications, keeping people informed, making sure people know what's going on is very important. And he said you can't, the more times you brief people, there's nothing worse than people sitting around wondering what's going on. If there's something comes up, you should make sure that the community gets to know it as fast as humanly possible. And he said that's the key, communications. The other one that people should keep in mind, and I know we talked about it before, and Steve down in the back there, people forget about things. They had a lot of incidents out in Port aux Basques, believe it or not. I totally believe it. People would not leave their homes because there was no arrangements made for their pets. Right? There was people said, if I can't take my dog, if I can't take Fluffy and Ginger and Sammy or whatever, I'm not going. So that was one of the things. It sounds weird at the time, and he said that's something people don't think about, but people will not leave their homes if there's no reservations or accommodation. Yep,
And
made
that's
for
true.
their pets, right? So if you see me going down the road with 4 horses, make sure you pick me up, right? So pets. A few of the takeaways from that. Don't think it can't happen to you, right? And when I say don't think it can't happen to you, the collective us here, right? That was one of the takeaways. Our attitudes towards the weather has to change, because that's a lot of the things that will happen out there. Oh, that's only going to be a normal windy day. We'll put our clothes out, right? And that's the way a lot of people looked at it. But you can't look at it that way. The same way with Grand Falls, Windsor. Yeah, that'll go away, but it eventually did. But if the wind had shifted the other direction, it would have been an awful mess. Mm-hmm. And the other one, the last one, don't rebuild on a floodplain, right? And a lot of places, the insurance companies won't cover you, right? And a lot of these people that are there now will not be allowed to move back and build where they were before, right? And it's unfortunate, but they said that's the fact, right? That's it. Anyway, that's it for me. And Councillor Buckle, do you have anything that you would like to add, please?
No, you made a lot of good points there, and there was a lot of, I can see by your dialogue, there was a lot of good information from the convention, and it's good to bring it back. You know, I mean, we're talking about the neighborhood watch and something. That's something that our committee is going to be looking at. You know, I mean, with a partnership with the RCMP, and we're going to look at having a meeting with them in the next little while. But, you know, I mean, anyone, you know, I mean, even if it's not a neighborhood watch right now, but, I mean, if your neighbor's gone or if you're up later than your neighbors, you know what I mean, there's always good advice to, you know what I mean, just keep an eye on your neighbor's property if they're not home, or even if they're gone to bed before you, or whatever the case may be. It's always good to keep an eye on your neighbor's property, because crime rates are going up, as Councillor Bruce King indicated. And, you know, I mean, we are looking at doing some tabletop exercises here with our public safety in Holyrood in the new year. And, you know what I mean, because, you know what I mean, what happened on the West Coast could happen here in Holyrood. We hope it don't, but, you know what I mean, we like to be as ready as we can for it. You know what I mean, we do have emergency preparedness plan there, and a lot of it's updated. But, you know what I mean, we're going to look at it and do some tabletop exercise, because, you know what I mean, if it do happen here, we want to be able to try to move as fast as we can, and you know, I mean, get the plan in place and the communication out to the residents. So Councillor Bruce King done a great job there tonight, and some great information that come back from the convention. And the one with the insurance, you know, I mean, I think not only to the seniors, but you know, if we can get someone in the insurance industry to come in and do a presentation that we can advertise and get out to the residents in our town. I mean, to seniors and anyone in general. So even if we could put that off, I think it'd be a great asset, so that people can have that dialogue with these people and see what types of insurance they should have on the property and what is covered. That's it for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Councillor Buckle. Yeah, you raise a good point there. You know, with the insurance, it's not just isolated to the seniors. I think that we had to find a mechanism, maybe through a flyer or whatnot, to, you know, feed out that information and make some suggestions, as we just spoke about earlier, because we know things are changing. But in speaking of emergency planning, I know when we did emergency plan, the first one, back in the mid-90s, I guess, you know, you set out your priorities, or the possibility of something happening, and then the severity of it. And at that time, climate change was not on the radar, right? Pandemic, none of that was on the radar. Who would ever think so? So, you know, things have changed, right? So now in developing emergency plan and updating emergency plan, you know, we got to look at the broad picture here, like Councillor King said, because things are changing. You know, the climate, who knows with the pandemic again, with everything that's after happening, right? So the bottom line is, anything can happen at any time. And I think over the last few years, between the storms and the pandemic and everything else, I think we've all realized that. So it gives us something, pause for thought on the reality of today's society and what we're experiencing. Anyway, Councillor King, great points there, and obviously you got a lot of information from the convention, and we look forward to your report.
Everybody, all the stuff that came up there, everybody should be aware.
Perfect. Thank you very much. All right, now we're going to move on to communications. Councillor Crawley.
Good evening, everyone. Mayor, going back to what you were saying about the being prepared is something that I teach to kids every year. We have a big discussion because there's always some storm or something coming up, and kids all get like anxious and worried and things like that. But we focus on things we can control. So I always do a big lesson on what you can control, and one of the things you can control is being prepared. Right? So that's it. That's what we control, is to be prepared.
Being prepared.
Right? And anyway, so that's what we got to look into. So for communications, we did meet last week, and just not a whole lot to update, but we spent some time on budget items. And one of the things is that our website now has gone out for review. So the deadline for all councillors to report back on that review was today. I was like, whoa, the 14th, yes, yesterday. So really nice to see, beautiful website, looking forward to the access it gives and the control it gives to the users. And one of the things that we talked about and had discussed was on the website having a iCompass or a portal or through some means, so a portal that would put up the minutes of the meetings for all our transparency wishes that we wanted to have out there for the community. So we are working on that. It will not be part of this initial launch of the website. So we still have access to the live streaming. We still have access to the councillors and staff. It's just that the packages, the meeting packages, won't be put up right yet. So that's something we might have to push off for the next budget. Just looking at timelines, things would not be prepared in time to push that through for this year. So we're going to set up quarterly updates now and have different goals that we're going to meet and phase it in a little bit of time. So by this time next year, we should be ready to roll and have all those services and have that portal open to our town and our residents. We talked about other budget items, so I'm hoping that will come through, but one of the things was just what we spoke about was public service announcements and the mail-outs. So the public service announcements is how do we get things out quickly, and something that we're going to have to put into the budget. And the mail-outs to get out information to seniors, low income, how do we make sure that we're reaching all our residents all the time? Mm-hmm. And so that's all budget items that unfortunately are going to have to come from communications as well. We talked about an electronic PSA board. Some like, things you see, Amber Alerts, that kind of thing. And when we had our water outages and power outages and lines down, any kind of those emergency services and information that needs to get out immediately, how can we get it out the best we can? So they are all items that we're thinking of considering for our communications. Other than that, it was the website, and moving forward for social media posts, we had a little policy in place that we're going to look at for councillors and staff, that if it's a non-emergency, to make sure it goes out in non-emergency hours, so business hours, and that's just to respect staff's time and councillors' time as well. If it's an emergency, it will definitely go to the director that's in charge at that time, and they will determine how to best get the message out for an emergency. And I think that was it. Councillor King, Sadie King, or Deputy Mayor Woodford, if there's anything else you would like to add for communications?
No, it was just that little policy on the, the media, social media, and the budgetary items that we hit.
Yeah. And that social media policy will be part of our broader communications policy, but it's something we felt that needed to get out quicker than we can get out the entire policy. Yeah, so I think that's it for communications.
Okay, thank you very much, Councillor Crawley. And yeah, no doubt, I mean, when it comes to improving and enhancing communications between council, staff, and the residents, big piece of work, comprehensive piece of work, and it's going to take time. We knew that going into it when the committee was formed, but I think you're on the right track, obviously, and doing things very, meticulously and covering everything off. So, great work so far. Keep up the good work. Okay, thank you very much. And now we will move on to the operational review. Councillor Windsor.
Sir, okay. So the operational review and strategic plan.
And strategic plan.
It's important to remember those two pieces fit together very well, and thus allowed the town to avail of some funding opportunities, right? We do have some bids. I'll get to that. Just want to give a quick overview to everybody to recalibrate on what this is, and acknowledge our committee members, which would be myself, Councillor Bruce King, Councillor Curtis Buckle, and the Mayor. And the scope of work is for a consultant to interview all councillors and staff, and meet with us, set criteria, and essentially make recommendations on things that we could do better or more efficiently, or validate the things that we are already doing very well, and give both council and residents that confidence that they are looking for and deserve, certainly, right? So that's what the scope of work is, and there's a lot of work in getting a document out the door and getting everybody to agree to. We had some go-bys from our municipalities who were very successful in what they put out there. We tried to echo that as best possible and customize it for Town of Holyrood's needs. And they were posted, the RFP was posted to social media channels on October 7th and in the Telegram on October 8th. There were 6 consultants that contacted the town when they saw that information. One came back to advise they would not be bidding, and there were 2 bids. So 3 had just gone silent, I guess, and I can name them. John Walsh, Pat Curran, LW Consulting, Allied Solutions, PW Express, and City of Houston. John Walsh and Pat Curran were the bids. So the procedure now, I've got the bids here. They're sealed, right? And they were signed for, as received by town staff. So I'll open them up and just say the name of that bidder and the price, right? And then what will happen then is documents will be turned back to staff for their technical evaluation.
To the committee.
Committee. Thank you for the correction. And there's a set of criteria, scoring criteria,
Evaluation, yeah.
right, that we established, right? So we got there's a thumb drive there too, so we don't lose that, I guess. Right, and proposal. Well, Christmas came early.
You were excited for Christmas.
Talk amongst yourselves.
We still need,
Councillor Bruce, tell a joke. Tell a joke.
I thought D&D was bad for wrapping stuff up.
we still need a letter opener.
You're getting one for Christmas.
I'm
So
going to
this
ask Santa for it, and I'll donate it to the town.
So that's the technical proposal from Mr. Curran and Associates, uncosted, and this is the costed proposal here. Now I'll find where he puts the price there. Total cost proposal is 20,930. 20,930. That's my pin. So over on the front of the envelope.
I liked your singing there a minute ago. Go for it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's that one there.
Councillor King can
I'll
co-sign that.
get Councillor
Or
King to
Councillor
co-sign
Bruce.
as well. All right, so that's that pile. Okay, there you go. So there'll be some filler. This is the other bid of 2.
The price is in one envelope, am I correct? And then the...
Yeah, it's a price proposal, and then the
Right.
technical proposal separate
Right, yeah.
in thumb drive. Right. Yeah, same here.
This message will so
Yeah, they're great movies. Okay, so it's not marked, but priced and non-priced.
surprise.
So, okay. It's just in that envelope there. Oh, yeah, no, that's right there. Sorry. Okay, cost of services, separate envelope.
Right.
That's what it says, all
Yeah.
right, and I thought that would probably be the case.
That's one of the criteria,
Yeah.
that cost in a separate
Separate.
envelope.
Yeah.
Rating with bated breath.
21,160.
And that is from
John Walsh.
John Walsh. Actually, JW Consulting, not
Is it? Just trying to get you fixed in.
Yep. Oh, wonderful. That's a really good signature. Professional athlete quality. I'll leave them here. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so that's another step as part of this process, and as Councillor Windsor said, the 2 bids now will go back to the committee for further review, and then the evaluation will be done, and then it'll be brought back to council with a recommendation. Okay, thank you very much, sirs. All right, so now we're going to move on to corporate services and administration. We have Councillor Crowley and Councillor King.
Okay, myself, Councillor King, CEO Gary Corbett, and Director of Finance Marie Searle met on November 9th at 3:30 in the Keogh Suite. So it's nice to be back face to face. We ran through it. There wasn't a whole lot new updates. The budget is kind of taking over our realm right now. So the policy and procedure still in review, procurement documents still in review. The budget, we are asking and looking to all councillors and all departments to strategically look at all the items, line items, and wish list items and things like that. You really want to be cognizant of where we're going and what we want the future to be and how we want to meet our budget requirements. So we had a little discussion on that. Our union negotiations are getting underway, so there is a dates available, and we were asked to be available as councillors to review at any moment. Our cleaning services, Penny Holdings was a successful bidder of the cleaning for the town of Holyrood, and they started on November 5th. We discussed a little bit about the MNL conference, And like I said, that more will come up, but it was really interesting things that came out of that. And one of the things, of course, is the code of conduct, which we need to, information has gone out to all counselors. So we all need to do mandatory training on ATIP and code of conduct. And our date to have that adopted is March 1st, 2023. So whether or not we all have the training done, our own Town of Holyrood Code of Conduct must be adopted. Okay? And mostly just reviewing some other things. We talked about some meetings that will be coming up, more detailed, and some stuff that we'll talk about in-house as well. We do have 3 motions coming up, and they've already been approved through municipal affairs, and the money was 10% of the required town money. So it's motions that have been put through, but we were waiting on municipality of Newfoundland to actually come back and give us the parameters of those. So we couldn't develop the motions before now, even though we, in theory, approved them. So the projects are the new water tank, the Salmon Air Line water project, and the sewer upgrades, which of course have been over and over coming up at council meetings. Our total infrastructure improvement is going to be $4.1 million. And that's a cost of $376,022.73 to the town. So that's our 10% cost shared for, again, projects already in motion that we've already discussed. So before we do the motions, Councillor King, did you want to discuss anything else?
We just got
Do you
2
want to bring-
points, and let's go
Yeah,
very quick.
absolutely.
No, I just want to, with regards to the code of conduct, one of the things that came out of the conference, they have one already done up. It's been legally vetted, and they're telling municipalities, I guess in a very kind and gentle way, don't reinvent the wheel, right? Because if we decided we want to make our own code of conduct, it still has, then we have to send it and be vetted through a lawyer, and it has to go through the same process that municipal affairs has already done. So basically what they're saying is, take what we have already done, stamp the Town of Holyrood on the top of it, and you're done, right? So he said, just keep it simple, right?
And that document,
Yes, the document that municipalities Newfoundland Labrador has already been vetted through the lawyers. So any legalities or something that may come back has already been looked at through the legal process.
and that overrides any other document or policy that you want to bring in-house.
Yes, because if we decide, well, we don't want to do this, we want to do our own, then we have to go through the exact same process that municipalities Newfoundland and Labrador did at our expense.
Yeah.
Because we have to vet it through a lawyer, and we have to go through the process and all that kind of, so why do that when they, and that's what they're saying, and most municipalities agree with that. Okay? The other one is with regards to, we talked about 91 construction engineer flight, and I know Marjorie's going to check on that. And I've already sent the letter to the 2 representatives from MP, whatever the name, HMPC. I was going to say HFC. That's a finance company. But you know, because if for example, it's good to go, and they can come in the spring, because it's not going to happen until the spring. Maybe there is stuff down at the marina that can be fixed, like electrical or plumbing or whatever, and they have a time to think it out, and if it's approved, then when they come in, for example, you know, if there's electrical needs to be done, they have electricians. They can come in and do it. And they do it all at no cost to the organization. Well, labor is all free.
Available for not-for-profit
Yes.
organizations.
And it's probably going to be a lot easier dealing with a not-for-profit. And they specialize, their priority is also for not-for-profit. So they would probably have a little bit higher up than probably the museum, because it's less, I guess, for want of a better word, it's less tangly, right? So anyway, that's an option, and hopefully if we can get it all done, we could probably get it done at a lot less cost than what we would have to do under normal circumstances. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Carry on, Councillor Crawley.
Okay, so first motion. The accounts, be it resolved that the accounts tabled in the amount of $687.25. That would be check numbers D2893 2, D2945 to 043766 043923 be approved for payment. So moved.
All right.
Mr. Mayor, before you move on, I gotta excuse myself there on the payment account. Councilor Buckle.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Councillor Buckle request to, we'll put him-
Leave the call. Leave the.
we're putting him in the queue, is it? Is
Can
that
you
what
put him on
call it?
mute or do?
Okay,
Hang up on.
on the basis of a possible
Conflict of
conflict of
interest.
interest. Are we all in agreement?
Yes.
Okay. So,
don't see any input, so I guess I'll hang up on. You call me back, Councillor Buckle. I'll text you when.
okay.
Do I have to make the motion again?
No,
Okay.
we're
Sorry.
good.
All right. Okay.
Okay, moved
Yeah.
by Councillor Crawley,
That's right.
seconded by the Deputy Mayor. All those in favour? Those against? Motion is carried.
That was just general payment of accounts.
Right.
Okay, these are the fun ones. They sound scary, but they're not.
Can I ask him to?
Come back?
Yes.
Yes. Yep.
Is there anything
nothing else.
with those motions that wouldn't possibly involve Councillor Walker?
No, because it's just requesting to borrow.
Okay,
Yeah. That's why I just flipped down through. In the meantime, we can give our beautiful plus balance right now. Yeah, of $2,354.48. Yes, exactly. Hey, it's not a negative.
we're doing okay.
Okay, is the
Oh, Councillor Buckle.
operative word.
Hello.
Okay, welcome back. So, be it resolved, the Town of Holyrood requests ministerial approval to borrow $453.44 from the Royal Bank of Canada for the purposes of honoring the 10% contribution to the water tank project identified as 17 GI 21-00049 and approved by Transportation and Works Municipal Infrastructure Division. This loan will be for 2-term, 7-year amortization at 6.72% interest and a monthly repayment rate of $2,175.60. So moved.
Moved by Councillor Crawley, seconded by Councillor King. Further discussion? And I think the replacement of the water tank is a big plus for the town as the town continues to grow residentially and commercially. A bigger tank, I
Larger
think,
tank.
will help us along the way. Also, the existing tank is pretty old, and we don't know, what could happen to that at any time. If the bottom could go out of it, but I know it's been there probably since the 70s. So having that tank replaced with a bigger tank, I think that'll well position us long into the future from a water perspective.
Are we keeping that tank? I thought we were keeping
No.
the old tank. No? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good,
as far as I know.
really good
Okay.
project, right?
Okay.
Not to beat the dead horse. I mean, I guess we get a few different headlines on the same project, of course, right? Because the way, the engineering works and the funding opportunities work, like when we have a study, right, and we have detailed design, and then we have the actual funding. So, it just goes to show, like, it takes time, right? Like, it takes a long time to get these things, executed, right? Shovel ready. It's important to have something always on the shelf, shovel ready, which town, I think, does an excellent job of. And then to keep moving it forward. And, I'm impatient because, I'd like to see this stuff, like, done right away, but,
I know.
it doesn't happen like that, right? So, as the mayor described, it's an excellent project, enhance the capacity and security of safe, reliable water for the town. We have climate change, we have dry summer. Sometimes we have extreme weather events in the other direction. We talked about rainstorms a lot and the drainage and the culvert sizing, but we also have drought-like conditions at times too, and that's probably going to happen more often, right? So we need more water, we have a growing town. We want to expand the services to more residents, so excellent. And a funding opportunity to leverage monies from other governments,
Oh, yes.
provincial government, right, and the federal government, not just the town money, because we have a limited budget, right? So, excellent motion, fully support it. Come on, let's get more.
I'll get more.
I know.
All right,
I
any
won't say
other,
as much next one.
thank you very much, Councillor Windsor. Any other questions or comments on that motion?
Yeah, Councillor Buckler, if I can add a comment there.
Sure.
I think this is a great motion here tonight, you know, I mean, for the funding, you know, I mean, the cost share funding from the province and the federal government, I mean, for the town portion, once again, you know, I mean, this project, to be able to get it done with the town, you know, I mean, the town only paying $145,000 towards it, you know, I mean, it's great to be able to have the funding, you know, I mean, we always have issue with our water every year, and we're, you know, I mean, it's a major infrastructure in the town, the water, and we're always trying to build and create better infrastructure. I think, you know, I mean, with this water tank, it's going to add a lot to infrastructure in our town, and it's going to help us out in a great way. So it's a very, very important motion here tonight, and I fully support it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. And as we've said repeatedly, water, sewer, it's top priority
is?
right now. But keep in mind that replacing the tank with a new tank is still not going to help with, avoiding water leaks.
Leaky pipes, yeah,
And
that's
that's
right.
where the, Councillor Windsor, what's the name that we're doing with the Public Works? The asset integrity.
Yeah,
And we're looking at that and, focusing on areas that have been problematic repeatedly to replace that piece of infrastructure. So it's quite a process, but we're getting there.
all right. Ready for our next motion. Be it resolved, the Town of Holyrood.
No, we didn't, I was going to say.
Oh, was it?
No.
Sorry.
All those in favor of the motion, please raise your hands.
Aye.
Councillor Buckle?
Aye.
Thank you.
My
Motion
apologies.
carried.
Just really excited. No. Be it resolved, the Town of Holyrood request ministerial approval to borrow $134,153 from the Royal Bank of Canada for the purposes of honoring the 10% contribution to the sewer improvement project identified as AP MCW 20414 and approved by Transportation and Works Municipal Infrastructure Division. This loan will be for 2-year term, 7-year amortization at 6.72% interest and a monthly repayment rate of $2,011.56. So moved.
Moved by Councillor Crawley, seconded by Deputy Mayor. Further discussion?
With water goes sewer. That's it. That's it, right? Ditto. All right. We're, I think
All
we're good to-
infrastructure
Yep, we're
improvements.
ready to move.
Positioning for the future.
Interest rates are terrible, aren't they?
And there's nothing we can do about that.
it's only gonna keep going up, so we gotta
I think that's here to
get this
stay
done.
for a while,
Yep.
so you can't wait on these projects,
No.
until you're hoping that the interest rates are gonna go down, because you'll probably be waiting a long time.
Yeah.
That's it.
Right,
Okay,
ready to vote?
if there's no further comments or questions, that has been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those against, motion is carried.
Last one. Be it resolved that the Town of Holyrood requests ministerial approval to borrow $96,431.29 from the Royal Bank of Canada for the purposes of honoring the 10% contribution to the Salmon Air Line Water Project identified as 17 MYCW-22-00046 and approved by Transportation and Works Municipal Infrastructure Division. This loan will be for a 5-year term, 5-year amortization at 6.82% interest and a monthly repayment rate of $1,901.18. So moved.
Moved by Councillor Crawley, seconded by Councillor Sadie King. Further discussion?
Continue with water and sewer.
So
Where are we
that's going to eventually get us to Allen Pond, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
that's
Where
right.
we'll have a water treatment plant,
That's right.
then we're good to go
So we are,
for many, many, many years.
Remember, we're all on a well in Holyrood.
right now,
That's right.
artesian wells. Exactly.
And I would like to put forward that we are well within our borrowing capacity as a town of Holyrood, but we also want to make sure we maintain where we are in our borrowing capacity. So take that into consideration moving forward into our budget consultations.
So once, the treatment plant gets up and running, we're going to save a lot of money with maintenance cost, repairs, you know, the time involved in dealing with these wells. So that's going to make a huge difference.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a comment there, Councillor Buckle.
You certainly can.
Hooking into the pond supply here, as Councillor Windsor indicated, we're on all drill wells now, and, the cost of the maintenance, and, you can run into numerous problems, with wells. So, add this onto, for a water source into the town, I think we're moving in the right direction. I think this is going to be a great add-on to our water system for future water for our residents, reliable drinking water that is. And, I think this is great. I know that, we were talking there a few minutes ago about the interest rate, but, yes, the interest rate's up, it's not much we can do, but, for these projects, and we're only, at the end of the day, it's 10%, so, we're still benefiting as a town with the funding. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. If there's no more questions or comments, all those in favor of the motion, please raise your hands.
Aye.
Those against, motion is carried.
Thank you, councillors, Mr. Mayor, and residents.
Thank you very much, Councillor Crawley. That is the agenda. Now is new business. We'll do the go around, starting with the Deputy Mayor.
Really nothing for me this evening other than to agree with you on the Remembrance Day activity or event, whatever you want to call it, that we had at the start of the It was a great number of people out and about. Oh, sorry. No, I don't need to. They can hear me.
It was a beautiful ceremony.
It was a beautiful ceremony. A lot of people, so many more people than last year, because last year it was so miserable. But it was it was greatly attended, let's put it that way. It was very emotional. I know at one point when they were doing a part of it, a duck flew in from across the harbor and landed, next to where we were laying the wreaths. It was a really nice ceremony to have. And the other thing would be with regards to the Recreation Committee and the upcoming events for Christmas. Like, that's just around the corner. You look at it, we're in the middle of November. It's just around the corner. In a couple of weeks, those activities will be going off. So encourage everyone to get out, and I'm sure they will, because they're always well attended. And to put a call out to my colleagues around the table to show up at the Santa Claus parade and the various events that we can have, and have some fun this year. Thank you.
We has fun on the float. Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. Councillor King.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do have a couple of points. One was with regards to back to the conference, and that has to do with food security. That was a big thing that came up talking to people, and there was two examples. I guess one that we probably should try to mimic and one we shouldn't. The first one is probably the town of Bay Roberts. The town of Bay Roberts took 2 old ball diamonds and they turned them into community gardens. And people went there, they absolutely loved it. And this fall, they produced 3,000 pounds of potatoes, and they donated them to the food banks.
Wow.
3,000 pounds of spuds, right? So the other one that we probably shouldn't be like is, I know a couple of weeks ago, was the town of Clarenville. And I don't know if people seen it. It was on VOCM. It was on everywhere. With regards to, they came out that you could grow a root vegetable, but you couldn't grow a tomato, right? And people went nuts from one end of the country to the other. And it was the kind of publicity and notoriety that you probably wouldn't wish on your worst enemy. So the council had to come back and basically backtrack on everything they said, and basically now you can grow whatever you want, right? So let's not us go down that road. We should be encouraging people to grow. Cost of food, cost of everything now has gone completely through the roof. And, you know, we should be, if people got a little plot of land, maybe we should, and one of the suggestions maybe is maybe somebody around Holyrood who used to be a farmer who's got land that's not being in use, and maybe somebody's passed away. Be nice if that family maybe donated it to the town as a community garden in memory of a person that used to love gardening or something along those lines. But we should be encouraging people to grow whatever you want. And I did it this year, and I tell you, you don't need very much space, and I did it in buckets, in 5-gallon buckets. And talk about global warming, we're still picking strawberries from, here it is, the middle of November. But it's amazing how much carrots, potatoes, strawberries, tomatoes, and all this stuff that you can grow in an area probably as big as 2 or 3 tables. So we should be encouraging people to grow what they can, you know, within reason, but we shouldn't be discouraging them, right? So anyway, the other one is regards to the museum, and I just want to read something. There's a volunteer down at the museum. He's a fantastic young man. He does a lot of research down there. He's a student, and I'll just read who it is, and his name is Jared Trask, right? And he's like a walking encyclopedia, right? Anyway, Jared is currently finishing his Master's of Science in Experimental Psychology at Memorial University and hopes to graduate in 2023. It is with a Master's in Neuroscience. This week, he's attending an international conference in San Diego in California. Jared was selected by the presidents to present the society's neuroscience, where roughly 20,000 people. So he's going to go down and he's presenting to about 20,000 people down in San Diego, California. So I'm sure we all wish him well, and he is an absolute invaluable member of the Heritage Society down there, and he's done some fantastic work. And I just want to give you an example. There was a gentleman, the family is, I'm not going to name the name because I haven't permission to do that, but there was a gentleman here whose relatives still live here, who was killed in the First World War. And the family did not know where this person was buried. And between the research at the museum and also help from the Royal Newfoundland Regiment, they were able to find, actually he did have a known grave. They always thought for years that he had no unknown grave. They took pictures of the headstone in France and they sent it to the family here, but they also made copies and sent it to his family up on the mainland. And they were absolutely ecstatic.
Wow.
That this happened, because it was a lot of research and a lot of effort had to go into it. So they were quite happy about that. Also down at the museum now, there's an original book of Flanders Fields, and it's originally signed by Major John McCrae, the guy who actually wrote the poem. There's a lot of excellent exhibits down there, and so people should get the time, and I'm talking to Linda today. During Remembrance Week, they had an absolutely fantastic turnout of people coming in, and people came in from all over the place. There was a lady down there, like I said, I'm not going to mention her name. When she went into that room of remembrance, she sat down and she just cried and cried and cried, right? Because all the stuff that was there. So just to say there. So anyway, they had an excellent turnout. The last one I'm going to talk about, and I know everybody else talked about it as well, is the turnout at Remembrance Day. And this is the first Remembrance Day I went to in Holyrood, because I used to always go to town, right, as part of the military there. So anyway, the cadets did a fantastic job, and Councillor Windsor's son was the wreath bearer for the RCMP officer. And also 37 Signals Regiment, they came in from out town. Actually, the captain that was looking after him was a very good friend of mine, and we had a chat, and she couldn't say enough good things about the hospitality of Holyrood. And the other part is, with regards to the cadet program and also with the reserves, it's a fantastic opportunity for young people to get out and do things that they probably would never dream of doing. And I'm sure Councillor Windsor's son can attest to the fact. And the other thing is, it's great for future development and career progression. Mm-hmm. Because, you know, the cadets is one stepping stone, and the reserves is another. And the cadets are okay for younger kids, but once they get into the teenage years, 16 and beyond, the reserves are a great place to go, because maybe some people are not aware of this, but there's an education program where if you're going to university, for example, or college, you're able to get over a 4-year period $8,000 every year. For 4 years, they will give you a grant for $2,000 go towards your education. And a lot of people, a lot of kids that go to the reserves, they all take advantage of that. So it's a great way to make some money. It's a great way to better your career, because I know people that were in the reserves and now they're in the RCMP. Actually, the RCMP officer that was with Councillor Windsor's son, he was with the reserves in St. John's, and he would also attest to the fact that, you know, being in the reserves, if you're going to pick two people, that being with the reserves or being in the military could be the edge that you take over the next person, right? And actually, there's a young man that just lives down the road from me. He was in the reserves, and now he's having a absolutely fantastic career in the RCMP. So anyway, just want to say that you know, the cadets are an excellent program, and so are the reserves, and people should take advantage of it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor King. Councillor Crawley.
I just want to say thank you, Councillor King, for your service. And I don't know what you do. I can't grow anything in the ground, let alone in a 5-gallon bucket. Just gotta say, even tried it over to school, had farmers in, and we still got nothing. They're all making fun of me. So, one of these years, something will grow. I'm sure.
Keep trying.
I'm gonna just keep trying. But other than that, thanks for Spooktruncular, all the businesses that came out. I can't believe it was the last meeting. Like, I thought we had a meeting since then when you mentioned it, and we hadn't. But looking forward to the Christmas events. Really looking forward to it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Sadie King, you're good? Councillor Windsor.
Just I guess a word of agreement with my colleague there and the programs that the cadets and the reserves offer. Yeah, my son is in there. My other son is looking forward to joining, and you know, the feedback I get from him and his friends who are in there, like, it's just absolutely fantastic. Some of the skills they learn, and as Bruce mentioned, you know, whatever pathway they take, whether it's you know, toward a military career, a policing career, or something totally different, right? There's a lot of skills there that can be applied in your life and in your professional you know, way of working and dealing with people and so on. So yeah, if you get a young person out there, get them involved. I think it's fabulous. The only thing I was actually going to bring forward is a quick safety tip, and that is you know, something that's not very nice, because you know, we don't want winter to come, but we do need to prepare for it. And you know, get your winter tires changed, get your snowblower tuned up, get your generator tuned up. We had a power outage on Monday for a brief time. This new maritime link, right? So emergency preparedness and all that sort of thing as we come into a winter season, right? So there's a few things there we could all do to get ready. Winter is coming.
It's coming. Thank you very much, sir. And Councillor Buckle, you can wrap it up.
Yeah, just a couple of quick points there. Councillor King Bruce King made some points there on the community garden, and you know, I mean, we're going to look at that in the recreation. You know, I mean, we do offer community groups free garden boxes at our community garden there now, but we will look at the option of looking at a piece of property for people to use. So we'll put that on our agenda for the next meeting. And the only other one I wanted to mention, as you mentioned earlier in your mayor's points, you know what I mean, Weldon Dunphy, who retired from our fire department. But, you know what I mean, a lot of times, I've noticed over the years, and in another role that I do sometimes with the local police here in the past, you know what I mean, the first fellow that I've ever seen on site, you know what I mean, is a Weldon. And if you're over or around Holyrood, and next thing Kyle comes in, one of the first ones that I've ever, you know what I mean, he's always there at the station, one of the first ones to attend. So, I mean, I wish him luck in his retirement, but, you know what I mean, his service that he gave to Holyrood over the 47 years is, you know what I mean, it's unbelievable. And that's it for me, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. I will just add to that. When I joined the Holyrood Volunteer Fire Department back in 1989, and actually that was my stepping stone to getting my eventual career with St. John's Regional Fire Department. So I was there for 3 years. And I remember my very first call as a newbie. And it was a structure fire over in Conception Harbour. It was late in the night. There was 3 of us responded in the pumper, myself, the late Pat Fury, and Weldon drove. And I'll always remember that. That was the very first call you can get as a volunteer, right? And that was one of the biggest structure fires that we've had in Conception Bay Centre. So, but yeah, no doubt Weldon was certainly an invaluable asset to that department. And he's, like I said earlier, his heart and soul was into it. So he will be missed, and he's certainly a friend of the whole community. Okay, that's it for me. Date of the next meeting is December the 13th at 5:30 p.m. Can I have a motion to adjourn, please? Moved by the Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor King. All those in favour, those against, meeting is adjourned. Enjoy your evening, everyone. And they're getting dark pretty early.